Good evening. I'm half asleep tonight, aren't I? No. Start streaming and completely forget I'm in completely the wrong screen and I'm just off doing something else and completely forget you guys are there. My apologies. So I'll get on with it. Oh dear. Not my day today, is it? But welcome. Pyrography. More work on the pyrography. So I've got to do some work on the face shape a little bit. down around this sort of side here. So just applying shading again to pull in the face shape. In comparison to the reference image I'm using, and darkening off so that you get 3D shaping. So this looks rounded. It's a bit flat faced at the moment. It sort of rounds off and then goes flat, so I need to do some work on that. And it's a lot of it is now about, around here anyways, about more subtle shading, just gentle gradients that don't really stand out, but altogether they make up the image that you're after. Actually, the other thing I wanted to do across here is just to darken off this top lip more. Make it a little bit more prominent. But not too much. It's quite a low contrast between the lip and the top of the skin across the top. Let's work with a little bit more heat. Somewhere around here I have come in contact with a cat hair. I can smell it on the tool. It's not a very pleasant smell, isn't burning hair. Whether it's person hair or whether it's cat hair, same thing. It's not very pleasant at all. Now this area is too white, so we'll just tone it down a little. Okay. Funnily enough, this actually smells like cut wood. And of course, for the very first time, I've actually realised why it smells like cut wood. And that is, of course, because when you're using a saw, especially a powered saw, as it cuts through, it creates quite a lot of heat. And quite a lot of heat heats the wood up. Of course, sometimes with a power saw you can see the black edges of the wood that have been created. And of course that's why it smells like cut wood. Interesting what you learn when you're not thinking about it. And there's a real Yorkshire saying for you. Well, Yorkshire pronunciation anyway. About it. Come on now, pen. Heat up the wood. The other thing I've just realised is I'm still wearing my normal glasses. And I would do a lot better if I switched them, so I will do. Well, I would do if I had them. Let me just see if they are on my other desk. They are. As I say at the start of the stream, completely I can't remember what I was saying at the start of this stream, but I know I'd completely forgotten to set the stream up properly. With the start screen, I was just streaming away without realising I was actually streaming. Busy working over there with a live camera and a live mic. Oh, could have been interesting, as they say, I suppose. Could not been if anything had been going on. It wasn't, so no problem, but it's nice to be able to see clearly. Okay, well, we'll come back and do some more on there later. For those of you watching, this is just normal tissue paper. Nothing particularly special about it. It's not fireproof or anything. Just an indication of quite how hot this pen is that it won't even brown paper, tissue paper. It would if I left it there long enough, but it won't actually set it on fire. which is what a lot of people would expect, and the pen just isn't hot enough. One of the things I've got to do down this side is darken this side of the face off like I did that side, just to create that three-dimensional look. It makes the face look thinner as well. It will do at the moment. About there. Roughly that way towards the nose. Yeah. To do this sort of shading, it's the sort of thing where you... Oh, Clevybug, hello, sorry. And Clouds Guy and Trenta. Blimey, I am just so busy concentrating on what I'm doing. I didn't see you guys popping. Welcome, good evening. A pussycat in a carrier bag over there. I just concentrated so much on what I was doing. I never saw you pop in. Good evening. What I was saying just then is this sort of shading is you practice this sort of shading by shading a ball. So drawing a ball and shading it so that the ball looks like a ball rather than a disc of light, because the cheeks are large balls basically, with compound curves, and trying to get them to show like that is a challenge, and trying to get the shadows and the shades to look natural and meet expectations, so to speak, is also part of the challenge. Clouds Guy. No, I'm using a reference picture for this. This is a commission for somebody, so I am working from a reference picture that they wanted done. I am not fantastically good at imagining faces. It's one of those things which I guess is down to practice, like everything else, but I can only practice so much in so many different things. It's practicing, if you like, the skills of the pyrography rather than the artistry in this particular case. Better. Not looking quite so flat. Still isn't looking the right shape, but it's still not looking. But it's not looking quite so flat. Okay, and of course I now need to do under the glasses. Now the glasses, despite what they look like, are silver, so they're reflecting light. So I have to be to keep a light edge just underneath them on this side, in order that I follow the photograph. I might not actually bother in practice. I'll have a look at it. The photograph, you can see the reflection. The light, it's basically the flash reflecting off the glasses onto the face. There's a white line underneath. I may not leave that in, even though it will be true to the photograph. When you're doing portraits, you don't have to, or portraits from photographs, you don't have to put everything in that's in the photograph. It doesn't have to look identical. I mean, if it looked identical to a photograph, you might as well have a photograph. There's a special head on the wood burner. The answer to that is a bit ambiguous, Cloud Sky. This is a standard head or standard pen for the wood burner. This particular type of wood burner generally comes with or has available a number of different tips. Just three that I happen to have in front of me. He says, being careful not to knock the camera all over the place. Three different types here. So generally speaking, this gets described as either a writing tool or a lining tool. Just round wire. This is a shading tool in this hand here, called a spoon shader. Well, sorry, no, it's a spoon shaped shader, not a spoon shader, which is a slightly different thing altogether. It's a flat spoon shaped shader, and this one is another shader, but this is just wider. A lot of found similar ones. There are different types of wood burning tools. There is a type which looks like a soldering iron, so it's a great big bulky handle. Generally has a silver barrel at the end of it with a tip on the end, and you often get different shaped tips. which can do this sort of work. They're generally plugged directly into the mains in the back of the tool, just which soldering irons are as well. They generally run a lot hotter, and they've got a more powerful heater in them, which is useful sometimes and other times is not so useful. Then there's more specialist machines which resemble the one that I'm using here, which is the pens are connected to the controller itself with generally low voltage wire, and the controller often has some form of heat control on it, so you can turn the heat up and down. This one is called a razor tip, and with these types of machines different machines have different pens. Some are hardwired, some like this unplug and plug back in, some hardwired into the controller. Basically they all operate the same though, in a similar way. They actually pass electricity through the tip, which I'm not going near because it's hot, and like a light bulb heats up because of the resistance of the wire inside. That's what's happening here. It doesn't light up, but it gets hot because of the electricity passing through it. And how much electricity you pass through it depends on mix. So the more electricity you pass through it, the hotter it becomes. Most of them are like this, with screw terminals somewhere on the end, where you often get just a piece of wire which you can shape and bend to whatever you like. You screw it in. This particular machine, razor tip, has a lot of preformed tips, which make life easier. Trying to make a flat thing out of a piece of wire is possible, they do it, but it's not as easy. So this sort of just saves a lot of effort, and is better for some jobs. It's quite hard to do some types of pyrography with just using a wire. There's kind of the difference between how can I describe it? Trying to think of an excellent sort of description. It's if you use a knife to spread out jam, jelly, peanut butter, that's sort of easier than trying to use a toothpick. So the using a wire thing to create large areas with a toothpick would be quite hard, whereas if you use a knife, or in this case something flat, it's a lot easier to do than it would be to use that sort of tool. So there's sort of options available, shall we say. But there's quite a few that operate exactly like this. Tend to have a bit better control over heat than the other ones, than the soldering iron types. A lot more fine control, and because you've got a lot more variety of tip and things like that, you generally are able to create shades a lot easier. Not always, and like everything else, it's down to skill. There are people that can use some sort of really horrendous looking tools and get an absolutely fantastic result out of them. Okay, so alright, let's do some shading inside the glasses and add some shape up there. Now I've got white edges there, so Yeah, that is one way of doing it. Hit it with a big hammer on an anvil. The other one is to, if you've got a flat jawed vice, squeeze it in a vice. Of course, they use similar sort of idea with this, probably some high pressure stamp of some kind when they make these things. But yeah, I just buy them ready. Well, I say buy them ready-made. I've bought this one ready-made. I'm never likely to need another one unless I seriously damage it. I actually prefer, this is screws, has screws to hold it on. I actually prefer this this other type, which is welded, just because there is some resistance here in the joint, and heat there, which causes heat. Heat there is not heat at the tip, and I don't have to worry about this one springing off. I mean, they're tightened up enough that it won't, but there's no chance of that happening with a welded tip. These are more expensive. Now, what I should really do here is turn this upside down and use the natural arc of my hand to do the curve. I'd be on the inside of the curve then rather than the outside. But I've kind of had enough practice to be able to do an outside curve reasonably well. So I'm not going to bother turning it over. That's coming along nicely. The thing I love about monochrome work, and even about pyrography, which is monochrome work, is things like as I add that shadow or that shade in there, you start to connect it with the side of the nose. You start to see the shapes, and I love watching an image develop like that. And purely by coincidence I've managed to get the right line across there as well. As I do some more work around the eye, we'll start to see the edge of the eyeball and the eye socket as well. What I should do perhaps here as well is this is white, so I'll just tone this down. Take the edge off the white so it doesn't show up quite so much. There we go, yeah. And now this area here, this needs to go a little bit darker to indicate the side of the face. But then the trick is blending that out here so you don't see a line. Interesting, as I've started to shade this like this, it's To move the apparent eye position, when you look at this eye, when you look at this eye, they look different in terms of their positioning in the face. And that's because you're starting to see the contours. Okay, let's do something with the other eye now. Of course, the bit about all of this I'm not quite looking forward to at the moment is the hair. I'm not good at hair. That sounds like an old joke saying, I'm not good at hair. I'm absolutely fantastic at it, but I'm not. That is going to be a challenge for me, is the hair. Always is. To represent it anything like it should be. Now, of course, there's no eyelashes on the eyelids at the moment. That makes the eyes look a little odd if you're looking at them thinking there's something missing. Of course there is. Whilst there is, when you're doing portraits and commissions, whilst there is some light leeway, I don't think an afro would fall within a little bit of leeway. Interesting, but okay, now some of these highlights that are, so some of this white wood that's around here isn't doing me any favours in terms of eye shape, so we'll just tone them down. Just a real base level of colour. And we can build on that colour in a while. So, yeah. I'm avoiding doing the glasses themselves because they need quite deep colouring, but not in all places. So there's sort of, I was going to say sparkles, but flash reflection. They're a silver frame, and because of the lighting that's on them, it makes them look black, and so I will be, making them virtually black. But if I do that at this moment in time, it will sort of skew my perception of the colours that's around it. So I'm just leaving that off for a while. And then the side of the face is here, and that's important that that's darker. So we'll start to just darken that off around here as well. Pull the face in. I won't go all the way back to the hairline, I'll just do some work in this area to start with. So that's the temples just here. So they'll tend to be in shadow. With them being quite far around the side of your head. And in this particular case they're in quite a bit of shadow, which is actually quite a dark shadow. I will probably revisit this. In fact, I almost certainly will revisit this to make it darker over time. So one of the challenges you get with shading rather than using pure black and white is often as you're shading the wood you'll get like a white lighter area between sort of two pen strokes that you've got to sort of fill in. Sometimes that's down to the wood itself, just the way the wood takes the colour, and then that's even more interesting to try and fill in because you want to apply heat just to that bit in the middle rather than the rest. Because otherwise all that happens is it goes darker but you still have the light bit in the middle. I've got a little one down here now, but that's not something that'll bother me too much at the moment. And of course that area I've just done there is going to look a little odd until some of the hair goes in. I was hoping to avoid that, so we'll just apply. With the tool being off the wood I got a darker mark than I wanted, so I now have to just ease that out a little bit so it doesn't stand out quite so much. Well, it's still visible a lot, but we'll work with that. Around here is filigree, like a filigree. You know what's filigree? Like a lace pattern down the sides, which is white. So what I'm going to have to do is do something using the writing pen in the sides there, sort of scroll type patterning, just to give an impression of that style of glasses. Because anybody who knows this lady will of course recognise the glasses as well, so It really does amaze me how the face shape changes as you add things in like this. And the eyebrow is about there, okay. Now the hairline is kind of over there, so I'm not taking this up quite as far as I have on that side because it's the temple's covered by the hair. So now I need to do something approximating eyebrows. Or I will do in a moment. I don't need to be particularly detail orientated in this. It's just a resemblance that's needed. Taking that a bit too far, and it's a little bit too high, but never mind. We'll adjust that a little bit in a while. If I need to, I should have stopped it a bit shorter and brought it a little bit lower down, but it's possibly close enough, and we'll see once more work has been done. Hmm. Okay, let's apply some colour, get rid of the white. Okay, this one colouring is off because it makes it look like they've got the eye really wide open, puppy dog style. Now the eyelashes I will put in afterwards because they're not something that I can easily take away because they'll be quite dark. Baby Tears, good evening, welcome. It's not, but thank you. I'm glad it resembles somebody that you know. Yeah, it's coming together. I haven't seen you around for quite some time. I've seen the odd tweet from you, but I've not seen you around for quite some time. How are you doing? face is coming together now as I'm extending up past the eyes. You finished moving home? I didn't know you were moving home, to be honest. Hope all is well. Well, sort of. Yes and no. Maybe out of a job soon, but apart from that, everything is fine and well. And, well, I won't be moving home soon, but within about 6 months I'll be moving home. Yeah. Unfortunately. Don't know. Touch and go. May have a job, may not have a job. It remains to be seen. I probably will know within the next 4 weeks or so. Unfortunately though, I don't make enough money doing things like this to stream full time. I get quite pragmatic about these things. I can't change what will happen. You know, can't influence it in any more ways. So what will happen will happen. I'll just get on with it. But thank you very much for your the confidence that you have in me there. It's definitely starting to look more like a face now, is this? Indeed, that's life. You can ask. It's a commission, so it's not somebody particularly that anybody's likely to know. Thank you. I will let her know, and maybe you should let your grandmother know as well. That she looks like an angel. It's weird. I said it earlier on the stream. The one thing I love about doing portraits is, yeah, it starts off looking really weird, but as you add shading and the shapes build up, a face just appears off the wood and starts to to look like either somebody you know or the image that you're working from or things like that. And it's any past work you've missed? Yeah, I think. Well, I don't know. I can't actually remember when you were last around. Let's have a look. What would it be? Lots of jewellery that you've missed. You know, things like that. For example, oops, daisy, a Valentine's bracelet. Got another one around here somewhere. It will be in a bag. Pliers all over the place. Oh yes. Let's go another. I'll show you another one. Now there's some pyrography you've missed. Come on now. So I've got a necklace, which is a heart chain. So it's a heart pendant on a sterling silver necklace. So just a couple. There's, most of what I've done recently is in the shops, so I can spend the next half an hour showing off jewellery. So I won't start doing that. But so there's a couple of pieces there. And since I like shiny, see if I can get this one to. There's another shiny Valentine's bracelet. Yeah, little organza bags. Helps, well, it's a nice gift bag, of course, and it helps keep the jewellery safe, whilst anodised aluminium is quite robust. If you sort of were to rub it against a diamond or an imitation diamond, garnets, that sort of thing, which are sharp edged, it will scratch, so keeping it in a bag is a good idea. But pyrography, okay. One I think you've probably missed is that one. Actually, it's not finished, isn't this one? But I got tired of doing fur. Because that fur is individual pyrographic strokes of pen. So there are thousands of fur lines on that image. Okay, you've seen this one. I spent quite a while doing this, and then I disappeared for several weeks because of the work issue. So I lost track of what I was doing before Christmas. So yeah, mainly over Christmas it was doing some jewellery and things like this, to try out some new different things. What else did I try jewellery wise? Oh yeah, new rings, new styles. Oops, I'm getting my fingers in there. So I was playing around with new designs. So most of the time over Christmas and the beginning of the new year, it was chainmail, doing chain designs like this. Actually, I like that. And I did a lot of yellow and silver, which I discovered was a really nice combination. He says as yeah, yellow and silver. Purely by coincidence, I did one. Like the colour combination so much, I did about another half dozen different designs. But actually, that looks better when you see it close up. Unfortunately, the camera won't focus, but you can see the colours like that. When you put it against the pyrography, it looks rather pale, but it's a lovely shiny yellow with the silver. But I'm doing pyrography, so I shall get back doing pyrography. Most of the stuff like that, if you want to take a look at it, is in the shop. The zaragon.etsy.com. He says. Should launch an online store so we can pick and choose. Kind of. You mean like zaragon.etsy.com? Or zaragonart.com, for example. Actually, that Zaragonart hasn't got as many. It's only got, I think it's got 3 items in it in the moment. I haven't actually built that one up as much as the Etsy one, but yes, I've got 2. And if you really want it, there's 3 items on eBay as well. And since you asked, well, you didn't really, but you prompted it. Well, it helps if I type in the right place. There's 3 items on eBay, which is linked there as well. Must have a look. Yeah, well, if you want to see most of them, the Etsy shop, there's about 24 different items there. Probably, but because that's been running for a while. My own site, SarahGanart.com, I only launched just after Christmas, and the main idea of that site is just to show some of the art and crafts with more explanation about them than would be in a shop, for example, just as a showcase. There is a shop there. I will be putting more things into it, but there's lots of to-its involved. Round ones. And I come home from work, I have my tea, I sit down, I catch up on a few videos, generally speaking end up falling asleep and then waking up and it's time to stream, so the shop is suffering a little bit at the moment. Okay, so let's get on with this portrait a little bit. Yeah, that's okay. That's a little bit light around here. And we'll just turn that down a little. And adjust that there. I have often, even when just thinking there, broadcasting has one distinct advantage. When I'm working on stuff like this, I talk to myself all the time. Yeah, I in a sort of a shorthand almost, a bit of, I must do it, and I could and don't, and I'm talking like that to myself a lot of the time. But which of course is decidedly odd. At least when I've got the mic on and I'm broadcasting, I've got an excuse for doing that. If I send you an image of someone, you can copy. Yes, yeah, that's how I'm working with this one. This is an image that I'm working from. Price wise, I'd probably like to see the image first. If you want me to at least take a look at it. Also depends on size. This is close to A4, and I think you're in the UK, aren't you? So postage probably must be slightly smaller than A4, otherwise postage is a little bit silly. But there's about 30 hours of work in an A4 portrait, 30, 35. Smaller ones obviously are less. The cats, for example, are about 10 hours. Northern Ireland, okay. I haven't been there for years. I've only been once, but once, twice. Can't remember. So yeah, if you can send me an image, then I'll take a look. And what would you like to pay? I could ask you it that way. It's a lot of the portraits that I do, and I do some. I used to do some. I don't do as many on don't generally do them on stream when I do them, but I'm giving things away now. It depends how much I like the image as well. Yeah, okay. There's on my website. What is it? Inquiries@zaragonart.com will get through if you want to drop an email in, or sales@zaragonart.com. Both of them will get through to me. They'll they can carry attachments as well. But tweet'll do. Take a look. Okay. Yeah. Fair enough. I remember quite a long time ago you wanted me to do your portrait, but you disappeared around the time I was ready to do it. I didn't see you for a long time then. Okay. Now, honestly, I can say you're wrong there. There was a point at which I went, you know what, I'm going to do a portrait. And you'd asked for yours to be done, and I thought, why not? But you weren't around at the time. I put it off for about a week. You disappeared for a while, so now. No, I'm never going to do it now. I'm studying this. I'm studying this without actually looking at it at the moment, which is Well, if I'm going to be out of a job, I've got to do paying work now. Can't be doing too much free work, daft as it sounds, wood costs and electricity and things like that, so that cheekbone wants some more work. Yeah. Okay. Oh, I wasn't. Yeah, sorry, I wasn't. One thing to be clear is mentioning me and my job is just part of the discussion. It wasn't there to get anybody to do anything they don't want to do. Just want to be clear about that. That's that wasn't the intent of it being mentioned. It's gone a little bit dark. Okay, so we'll fix that by just adding a little bit of shade around so it doesn't look as intensely dark. There we go. That's part of the trick of working with pyrography. What I did was not exactly a mistake, it just went darker than I intended, and I fix it just by making the area around it slightly darker, which means it doesn't stand out quite so much, effectively lowering the contrast ratio. Getting all technical there, but essentially it doesn't stand out as much if it's a similar darkness to what's around it. And that is the way in which you can fix pyrographic mistakes, where you get dark blobs and things like that, which sometimes occur when you're working, and it's just done by adjusting the colour around it. Still not happy with that side. It's down here somewhere as well. Not quite. I think I know what it is. What it is I need a little bit more of a defined edge. And that's not right. It is a defined edge, but that's the wrong sort of. It looks like the wrong shape. Why does it look like the wrong shape? It's the right shape, but why does it look like the wrong one? That's better. That's better. What I do is move these lines up just a little bit and add just a touch of shading, just to spread out that colour a little bit. That cheeky bone still isn't right, but that's part of what I'm working on, so that is to be expected. Yeah, all these subtle changes of colour that just tweak how the image looks. And I don't know if you guys can actually see it, but it's something I do see in the camera output. But that's because I kind of know what I'm looking for. But they are kind of just really subtle changes. Some of these. One of the difficulties with this particular portrait is it's an older lady, which is perhaps obvious, and of course as skin ages you get lots of wrinkles appear. They're really hard to do in pyrography because there's just so many fine tiny lines that come together to do it, and we were trying to put some of those in, especially just sort of around the eyes, for example. And as you can see, there's some down here, but generally speaking it's going to have she's going to have a fairly smooth looking skin, and that means there's a slight change in what, you know, when you look at the person, they don't quite look how you expect them to be, even if you know who they are. And it sometimes makes it a little bit hard to just capture that expectation, that essence. So I'm spending quite a bit of time looking at that and just looking at where some of those, some of the tweaks will go in, and just how the shading will come together as well, just to emphasize the shape. And the shape of the eyes is hard because you as you get older, you lose some of the fat around your eyes, and so your eye sockets seem to get bigger and flatter, and so you lose some of the like the eye. If you look on a really young person, the eyeballs look relatively prominent, but as you get older, they sort of seem to flatten back. So you have to be quite subtle. But when you don't, like the left eye here, it looks quite flat. It's to be honest, it's kind of how it looks like on the photograph, but it looks odd. And I am looking at that and thinking just how to tweak that slightly to make it look better. Wow, you're not looking for. It's just people just change their look. It's not really something to be afraid of, to be honest. Different people look different as well. Some people age completely differently to others. Sorry, I mean I look at it with an eye to like portraiture and things like that. So some things stand out to me, and some things I look at some details and things like that. And I've done a few, so that's where it gets interesting. course, it all depends on how you look after your skin as well. Don't go around getting sunburnt and things like that. Of course, for this lady, for example, when they were younger, things like sunbeds and things like that, and hard UV were normal. They weren't known to be bad and things, and of course that has an impact on skin, which these days everybody knows about and can protect against. Yeah. There's a lace or filigree style edge sides on these glasses, which I'm kind of avoiding doing at the moment because they're actually white with skin showing between them, but essentially it looks white, so it's going to be quite hard to do them, and the colour that they'll be will throw me off a little bit. I need to do them at some point to get the colour right, but just while I'm just tweaking around here, I'm leaving the edges, but there's a white block. Yeah. Filling them in will throw me off a little bit. Leaving it uncoloured is throwing me off a little bit. I can't win. Of course, I'm talking here, I'm telling you all the challenges, and you know, it's not something I generally think about when I'm, you know, if I'm not streaming. I wouldn't be going, nah, that's so empty. I'd just be getting on with it. But it is sort of stuff that just crosses your mind. You look at it and go, that's, you know, avoid looking at that bit. And in fact, I end up doing that sometimes. I'll take whatever I happen to have a hand, like paintbrush, and I'll just do something like that, just so I don't see the white, and then look at it and go, okay, because when I do that, the colour changes to me. So this is darker, so it's light now, but when I do that, it looks a lot darker because of the white stuff that's next to it. So it changes. Most of the time I just sort of avoid looking, you know, somehow, you know, put blinkers on or avoid looking at it in some way. In actual fact, that's not dark enough in there. Not quite that pointed. Talking about sunbeds a moment ago, I'm just looking at this. It actually reminds me a little bit of somebody who's been out in the sun with sunglasses on, and then, you know, they've been laid out in the sun. They take the sunglasses off, and they've got the white eyes, panda eyes, I call them. It looks a bit like that at the moment. Does this eye? Just because of the sort of the whiteness around it. Right, this whole area is actually just too light anyway. So let's just darken it down a touch. Let's see if I can get the eye socket bone to be visible. That's a little bit dark. I must be concentrating. I'm starting to stick my tongue out. Now for the moment I'm leaving the whites of the eyes white, although they won't stay that way. I will colour them at the end and may darken the pupils off just a little bit. Actually they're not the pupils, it's the whole iris, but because of the way in which flash was used they look really dark. Pupils are actually invisible. Okay, I'm not seeing the edge of that eye. So that's going to be okay. That's because that's missing. Okay, we've got the bottom edge there of the eye socket, so we need the top, which is roughly here. Yeah. So we'll just tack that in. Here I'm talking rubbish. Tack it in. If I was doing some other crafts, I'd be using, like if I was laying out string, for example, I'd be tacking it into place, and that's kind of what I meant with this. I'm just putting lines in that help me understand. Pink Eye Stumps, an interesting name. Good evening, welcome to the studio. So that's going to be from about there and curve that way. Careful, I don't want to dig into the wood. And it will come down there, which was the bit that was kind of missing from the shape of the eye, and then implies the sockets around there. It's not a what, it's a who, and no. This is a commission. Yep, that's working better. How about I tell you to be polite and stop being an idiot?
To piss off.
One click.
Oh, click. Tell me where to click.
That button there.
This?
No, that one. No, you slipped it. Slipped there. That's it.
Well, what were they saying?
They're listening to you.
I don't know what you've said, but you can piss off.
Oh, hey, be careful. Lady Zara there. Shouldn't concentrate while angry. I wasn't, so as I said, one click. Now then. Let's do a little bit more around here just for a little while. So we're just outlining the edge of the eye socket. Would you like to be banned as well? No.
I won't say anything.
No, no, no.
I'm ban the person.
Okay, you did too.
I don't know what they said either.
No. There you go. Don't annoy Lady Zara.
Nope.
And yeah, that's just a bit too light there, which is why it looks a little odd to me. That's better, it's toned down a little bit. Could do with putting some eyebrows in. Or at least some indication of them at the moment. Which are going to be roughly across there. Thank you. Although it's debatable as to whether you call it painting. I describe it as painting with heat because to some extent that's what I am doing, but this is pyrography, as it says in the stream title. And it's using heat to change the colour of the surface of wood in this particular case. Ah, dear. It's boring. No, don't. Not this time. I can do it if I want. They're just boring.
I just feel like.
Yeah, I know you feel like clicking the
button.
button.
2 minutes.
I just find them boring. As I said, boring. They can't even be interesting. Right, well, it's now coming up to 10 past 10, which is about when I'm normally due to finish, and I've done a little bit around the eye, enough to want to take a look at it again tomorrow rather than continue to work on it now. Shape's getting there. It's still a little bit flat. And what I'll do is I'll take a fresh look at it rather than fiddle around with it now, because then I'm likely to not get the right change that I'm after. So I will give it a rest, look at it again tomorrow night, which is hopefully when I'll be streaming again. It's Friday tomorrow night, so probably I will be streaming tomorrow night. Pardon? Yeah, way Friday. So I am going to point out a couple of things. You've been seeing lots of pretty jewellery looking there, as well as some other arts like pyrograph and carving and things, but the jewellery is for sale. Pyrography is as well, when I get those round to it, to put them in the shop, but not just yet. So a couple of places you might want to check out: zerganart.com, which just explains a little bit more about the crafts. There's a small shop there, but it's not well set up just yet. I need to put more items in there. The real shop for the moment is down there at Etsy, at zerganart.etsy.com. The jewellery that you've been seeing there is all available in that shop. I'd recommend you take a look, but I would, because it's a shop and it's mine. And they're my things I'm selling. But apart from that, yeah, I'd recommend that you follow me so that you get to know when I start streaming again tomorrow night. If you want to follow me on Twitter, a tweet also goes out, and occasionally to do with other things like new stuff going in the shop, or nice pretty things that have come in for me to try, like 3D pens. You may have missed that if you haven't been around for a while. But if you just want to try and catch me tomorrow, I will hopefully be on from around 8 PM UK time, 2000 hours, UTC/GMT, both the same, or about 2 hours 10 minutes ago. So, thank you all for watching. I wish you a very good night from the county of the White Rose, West Yorkshire in the UK, and I hope to see you again in the studio in the future. Bye for now.